So recently I took you through my top paying cashback, debit and credit cards. And this time I'm going to talk about something very, very similar. It's reward credit cards. There is a key difference between a cashback card and a reward card in that a cashback card gives you actual cash. So in lots of ways, I think they're the better option because you can spend them as you wish. But the reward cards also have some benefits and perks. And the big one is that they might be higher paying. So you can earn more every time you spend. Downside, sadly, is that sometimes you are restricted where you spend them. In fact, most of the time you are limited to a specific retailer or a handful of different shops you can spend the money at, or potentially swapping them for airline flights. You also often have to get a certain level of points, a certain threshold to meet before that voucher is given to you, or you can put them towards a flight. So they are kind of things you really have to weigh up. Are you going to earn enough points in order to cash them out or use them elsewhere? But if you are, then these cards are the highest paying ones. And I'll take you through the best ones for American Express and also broadly some general retailer ones as well. And let's start off with the Amex ones, because Amex on the whole is the best paying card out there. The only one that might kind of equal it for generic spending, for everyday spending, is that Chase debit card, which I spoke about in the previous video. But in terms of credit cards goes, the top one is the American Express Nectar credit card. Now, as the name suggests, you're going to be restricted because you're earning Nectar points, so you can only use them on Nectar retailers. Basically, that means Sainsbury's, Argos, eBay. You can swap them for a few other things, but I'm not really fussed about them. But you will earn 2 Nectar points for every £1 you spend. And since a Nectar point is worth half a penny, that basically means you're getting 1% back. So that is on a par with that Chase debit card. The only difference between the two, obviously, is that that debit card from Chase, that will be accepted pretty much everywhere. And as we do know that sadly, not all retailers take American Express. But for most of your spending, this is not going to be a problem. And often if you have it in conjunction with that Chase debit card or one of the other cards I might speak about in a moment, then you're going to be covered in your wallet for all of your spending. Now, there is a fee for this card. It's not a massive one. It's only £25 a year, and it is not there in the first year. So first year is free, but after that, you factor in this £25 fee, which might mean there are better options out there with a similar rate, which don't charge you at all. But certainly for that first year, it is well worth going for this one. And I'm not going to talk about here later in this video any of the Sainsbury's Nectar credit cards because they'll earn you less points. And what's the point in getting fewer Nectar points when you can get them with the Amex Nectar card? And yes, okay, there might be occasional retailers that don't take the Amex, so you don't get Nectar points. But again, there are other options. So do not go for a Sainsbury's Nectar credit card unless you're after one of the smaller welcome bonuses that come along. Incidentally, this American Express Nectar credit card does have a welcome bonus of 20,000 Nectar points when you spend £2,000 in the first 3 months. That is worth £100. So it's decent, but it's not as big as some of the other American Express welcome bonuses that we'll come to later on. And remember, I've spoken about this in a previous video as well. There is the opportunity sometimes to get additional Amex welcome bonuses, even if you've had an Amex in your name in the last 2 years. That's the normal cutoff. You can't get the bonus if you've had that. If you're getting your first Amex card, the Nectar one's not a bad one to go for because you will be eligible for the welcome points elsewhere. So if you're after the highest paying American Express credit card, whether it's cashback or reward, then that is the one for you, the Nectar Amex Nectar card with that 1% equivalent rate. One more I want to share with you though quickly here, and this is the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card. Now this one, if you go through a few different, spend enough money on it and you do a few bits and pieces, you could get up to 1% back on this card as well. So it's not going to be guaranteed you'll get that amount, but there are some other perks that come with it that might make it interesting for you. So let's go through this. So you earn 1 American Express reward point for every £1 you spend. You get slightly more on travel and things, but I wouldn't bother with that. Just normal spending, 1 point per £1 spend. Now these points, depending on how you redeem them, have different values. If you swap them just for your statement credit on your bill, which means you can use it effectively how you wish, it's the closest to cashback you can get, it's 0.45 pence per pound. So it's a less than 0.5% cashback. If you swap it for a gift voucher, the likes of Amazon or M&S or hotels.com, it's equivalent of 0.5% back. So again, a big drop down from the other card we were talking about just now and other options out there. If you swap it for an Avios point, it's 1-to-1. So however you want to redeem your points, it's 1-to-1. If you swap it for a Nectar point, it's 1-to-1 as well. So the same as with gift cards, it's 0.5%. However, if you swap your Amex membership reward point, and this is the same with any card that takes these Amex membership reward points, If you swap them first into Avios at 1-to-1 and then swap them into Nectar points, you get an increased equivalent value of money back, 0.67%. So again, not amazing, but not too bad. If for whatever reason you don't want to keep the Amex Nectar card or you need something else, that is going to beat your return on the other cards we get to in a moment. Okay, so it's not a bad option. And it gets slightly better. And potentially you can push this up to 1%. Because every time you spend £5,000 on the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Up to, I think it's around £20,000, maybe £25,000, you'll get 2,500 bonus Amex reward points. Now you add those on, as long as you spend, say, at least £5,000, which you probably will with this card, I imagine, especially if you're going for a welcome bonus, which we'll come back to in a second, then actually this pushes it up. So it could be anywhere between, I think, like 0.75 if you redeem it for a gift voucher, 1% if you redeem it via Avios to Nectar. Again, it does depend about how close you are to those thresholds. Now, I have got a whole video going through this on the channel already, my review of the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card. However, this was before Avios devalued the Nectar conversion rate. So the rates that are in that video, it will be slightly less, but I have got an updated article on the blog that break it down for you if you want to know exactly what you'll get based on your spending. But again, close to 1% potentially. And again, that's as long as you're happy, as with the other card, to use them in Sainsbury's, Argos and eBay. Where there is another additional benefit here that you might be interested in is that welcome bonus. Now, if you do get this as your first American Express card or you've not had one in 2 years, it does rule you out of getting a bonus on the Platinum card later on. Okay, so just bear that in mind. But if you're not bothered about that, this one potentially can be the highest amount, biggest amount you're going to get from an Amex welcome bonus. Because although the normal rate is 20,000 points for a £3,000 spend, which is not too dissimilar to the Nectar one, although you have to spend more money, it is frequently boosted. Potentially to 30, 35,000, maybe up to 38,000 if you go via refer a friend link. And doing that can get you plus £200 plus potentially back from that card if you do that Amex reward points into Avios into Nectar. So that's going to earn you more money, which is why a lot of people like this card. It will potentially get you that biggest welcome bonus. There are a couple of other extras that come with this that are worth knowing about as well. You get 4 Priority Pass airport lounge visits every single year. I'm not a big fan of those. They're great if you've got them, but I wouldn't get them for the sake of it. It's worth just giving it a go. Often you're finding right now airport lounges are not letting people in. And you also get every month 2 lots of £5 credit at Deliveroo. There's a minimum £10 spend each time. If you regularly use Deliveroo, that's a little bit back that's worth knowing about. However, big but on this one is it comes with a £160 annual fee. That is wiped out in the first year. So for 1 year, it's great. You get that welcome bonus potentially. You earn those points up to 1%, swapping them Avios to Nectar. But after that, I absolutely would scrap it. I don't see any benefits of keeping this one afterwards. There are many other Amex reward cards. I've spoken a lot about those in my best Amex videos. That is at the start of the year, best Amex card video. So do check that out for more information. Let's move on though to other options because I don't think really, unless there's specific circumstances, the other ones, those two are the best ones to go for. I'm going to talk here about an Avios credit card. And this might be no surprise to you. I'm talking about it in the same context I spoke about that last card right now. It's in terms of swapping your Avios points into Nectar points to give you that equivalent cashback of 0.67%. Okay, that's if you're earning 1 Avios point per £1 spend, which you are with this card. You can, of course, earn the Avios points and use them towards flights. You can, of course, spend lots on these cards to get companion vouchers. Both Barclaycard, that I'm going to speak about in a minute, and American Express have these. But again, for most people, I don't think that's the best way of using your points and using your spending. So I'm talking about it here more as a way of you converting that points you earn into Nectar points. And this card here is the Barclaycard Avios credit card. This one is a free card. I said there is a paid version, but this is a free card. Won't cost you anything at all. There's a relatively small bonus here, 5,000 Avios points if you spend £1,000 in the first 3 months. But again, it's a nice alternative for you to have because it's a MasterCard. If you are concerned about Amex not being accepted and you do want a credit card that will earn you money, not just a debit card, and you're happy to use them in the Nectar retailers, then this is going to be your highest paying generic one that you can use at any shop. So it's definitely worth considering. I have got a video that looked at both the Barclaycard Avios cards when they launched, so do check that out if you're interested, and obviously compare them to the American Express ones if you are keen to get loads of Avios points. But in terms of just a MasterCard, that will earn you money you can spend at the supermarket, specific supermarket, obviously in Sainsbury's, then it's worth having a look at. Now, these last cards to tell you about, these last reward cards, they're all retailer-specific cards. Broadly supermarkets, but there might be a little bit of flexibility here. Now, at the moment, there isn't an Amazon one. That closed down in late 2022, and they say they have plans for a new one. As soon as they do, I'll probably do a separate video with a full analysis on that. But at the moment, there's nothing for Amazon. So we're talking here about 3 retailers, really. John Lewis, Asda, and M&S. As I said, Sainsbury's cards, there's no point having a Sainsbury's reward card because you may as well get the Amex Nectar card. And also the Tesco Club card one doesn't offer much at all. You don't get many points. You'll be better off, even though it gives you more points at Tesco, you may be better off using the Amex card, which will earn you more points and will be accepted at Tesco, right? But anyway, these ones potentially for these retailers are worth a look. Highest paying one is the John Lewis Partnership Credit Card. This will give you, again, points for every pound that you spend. In John Lewis or Waitrose, you get 4 points per £5 spent. That's worth the equivalent of 1.25%. So that is one of the highest paying cards out there now. It's very, very hard to match that. It's definitely not possible to beat it. Spending elsewhere, you get 1 point for every £4 that you spend. That's the equivalent of 0.25%. So again, it's not amazing for other spending elsewhere. There's really, the focus on this one is about John Lewis or Waitrose spending. Now, they often have a welcome bonus here at the moment. So I'm recording this, it's triple points for 90 days for spending at John Lewis and Waitrose. So that's again the equivalent of 3.75%, which ain't bad at all. Again, but just at those retailers. It's important to note here, though, when you want to redeem these points, you do need 500 points to get a £5 voucher. So it might take you a while to get there. And there's always the risk that if for some reason you changed your card, and it's the same for the other ones, some of the others we're going to speak about. If you change to a different card for whatever reason, those points are just sitting there and you may never get them back. That's a John Lewis partnership card. Next up is the Asda Money Credit Card. Now, this one will pay up to 1%. Basically, shopping at Asda, it's 1% back. So if for some reason you don't want the Chase debit card, will give you 1%, or the Nectar card, the Amex Nectar card, which give you 1% as well, but elsewhere, then this is not a bad option. Elsewhere, 0.3%. So it's a cut above what you'll get from other retailers. This one, again, is a MasterCard as well. However, there are some restrictions with this in terms of using those points. You have to convert those points over to the Asda Money app, and then you use them in store. But again, there are some restrictions. Plus, your points will expire after 6 months. So you've got to remember to convert them over to the Asda Money app. And then you've also got Asda Rewards app, and then you've got like limited time to spend them as well. So again, not a big fan of this, but if you are Asda all the way, it is not a bad shout. And you want to keep things simple. You don't want to have a different card for different retailers. Maybe it's not too bad. The last one to tell you about here is the M&S Bank Reward Credit Card. This will give you 1% back at M&S, the equivalent. Basically, you get 1 point for every £1 you spend. Elsewhere, outside Marks and Spencer's, it's £1 for every £5 you spend, which is the equivalent of 0.2%, which isn't very good at all. Again, there is something here which might be able to boost your return at M&S. It's called M&S Club Rewards. I'm not a massive fan of this, of how this works. The restrictions, basically you pay a monthly subscription fee and in return you get things like vouchers for cakes and all of that kind of stuff. So do check it out if you are at M&S all the time. If not, it's probably one to sort of wait around and see if there is a welcome bonus that comes along. Maybe it's like a £25 M&S voucher if you spend a certain amount at a certain time. Again, I'll tell you about any of those kind of offers. Similarly, if they run for any other cards we've not spoken about today in my regular or semi-regular credit card updates. Let me know in the comments below which cards you use to earn money on your spending. My name's Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, check out these videos for more on credit cards.